this would be like a 10-minute answer. But the short answer to this is to utilize this thing called CBO, campaign budget optimization, and put your different ad sets into one campaign and utilize different creatives and allow Facebook to find that best combination or permutation for you. Okay, so this is where, for example, if let's say you have 5 different images, 3 different headlines, 2 different write-ups, 3 different call to actions. What Facebook has allows you to do is this thing called dynamic creatives. I don't have the luxury to dive deep into that, but just write it down for now. Write down dynamic creatives, and what Facebook allows you to do is you can dump in all these different permutations. So maybe 3 different videos, 5 images that has got 3 different headlines with 2 different button call to actions with 3 different write-ups. And what Facebook will do is they will find all of different permutations or combinations as possible that they feel is optimized, and they will do the testing for you in order to give you the feedback of which combination they feel is the winning combination. So that's the
So
short
then I
answer to
guess
the
I would ask a real quick question on that just for clarification is that when you're putting in your audience, allow Facebook to also target a broader audience instead of turning that feature off.
Okay, well,
I know, I'm
I
putting
love
it,
this
I'm
question.
sorry.
I know, I love this question, and here's why I gave it side. It's because I so wish we had like a full hour for me to go deep into it, okay? And I'm trying to think about, okay, you know what? Like, how many of you would like me to just show you guys some stuff, like with regards to this? How many of you here feel that this would be very helpful? Okay. Okay, so even though this is not in like I know that I said I want to keep it to messaging because that's what this event's all about. But I feel that, hopefully this would probably um, benefit um, a good majority of you guys. So I'm gonna make an exception to what I said earlier, and since we're here right now, and we are probably too committed right now to next strategy here, might go against something that I mentioned earlier. Okay, so something I mentioned earlier from like the first question I said was, if you want to lower your ad cost, you want to go specific. Now this is advanced and it's more for scaling. Okay, so it's going to be like the whole different direction. And the reason why I'm like battling my mind whether I should be sharing this is because I don't want to confuse anybody if you're absolutely new to this. Because I don't know if you're gonna be ready for this. I do believe that for most of you, you might be, and I'm gonna do my best to explain why this strategy is very powerful, going in complete different direction. Now, what does it mean by going in complete different direction? It means that when it comes to scaling and structuring your campaigns, this is when, if you feel you have a funnel that is working, that is profitable, what you can do is you can go to a completely different direction and to go extremely broad. Now, what does it mean by extremely broad? I'm talking about like targeting. An extremely broad targeting would be, for example, anybody living in the US that is 25 to 60 years old, right? That's extremely broad. Now, in most cases, if you had some sort of targeting like this, guaranteed you're gonna lose like tons of money, right? Because there's no interest. It's just like literally anybody that's alive. That's what you're telling Facebook. As long as they're alive, target them. They're a good fit. Okay. So, however, this targeting would work if and only if you have these few things in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you some campaigns as well as how it might work, okay, so that you can see the specifics of it. Okay, so let me just quickly share with you my screen. Okay, can I have my team share? Okay, so right now, if you take a look at this, I want to share with you some campaigns where they could be, so these are actual live campaigns right now, okay? Okay, yeah, this would be the right one. And one of the things that we do in order to scale our campaigns to literally like, 6-figure monthly ad spend and doing it very profitably. Where every dollar we put in, we get back, usually about $3 in return on the front end. One thing that we do is, if I were to go into some of these campaigns, you will notice that, let's say, if I were to go to, let's say, this one. Okay, let me just click on this ad campaign. So you can see this ad campaign, we spent about $10,000 over, where am I? Okay, let's take this campaign, okay? So this campaign here is for cold audiences, right, for my funnel, for people living in the US. Okay, so let me click on this campaign. And you will notice that for this campaign here, we have spent about $10,000. And you'll notice that this ad, let me just kind of zoom in so that all of you can see this. This audience, like literally, is anybody that is living in the US, okay, which sounds insane. In fact, if I were to click on this, okay, I'm going to show you like the demographics, okay. So if you take a look at this specific ad over here, let me just show you how it looks like together with the targeting. Okay, so for example, this targeting over here, you will see that this location, okay, is United States, and in terms of the people, I want to show you like how I think about this first campaign over here. Okay, now this first campaign over here, you will see that there are three main audiences. Okay, notice I would like you to write down cold. Okay, so cold audience is like super broad. Okay, anybody living in the US. Okay, so over here, if you take a look at this campaign, which is here, right, you'll see that this campaign there's really no targeting. There's no parameters set for this audience, and as long as they are living in the US, they are a good fit. Okay, which sounds insane. It sounds like this campaign is going to lose money. Okay, however, oops, this would be the one. Okay, however, you notice that at the same time there is audience number 2. Let me just zoom in over here, which is my best audiences. Now, what is best audiences? Best audiences is just for me, interests that has worked well for me in the past. Okay, so this could be people like ClickFunnels, people who like Tony Robbins, people like Gary Vee, right? It's just people who like a specific interest. Now, and then audience number 3, please write down, would be warm or hot audiences. Okay, so you have cold, lukewarm, and hot. Okay, cold, lukewarm, and hot. So what is cold? People who are just super broad. Number 2 is somewhat targeted, right, based on interest, so lukewarm. And audience number 3, hot. Now, what is the third audience? The third audience is basically my lookalike buyers. So because I know that this funnel is profitable, I want to be able, and I know that for like this funnel over here, on each person that goes through this funnel is approximately $250. Okay, so if I can pay $70, $80 to acquire a customer, I would be very happy. Okay, so I want to start scaling. How do I start scaling? This would be when my lookalike is a very good audience, because it's hot, right? It's like it's a lookalike like my buyers. So it's as targeted as it gets. Okay, but there's a problem. Okay, please write down, warm or hot audiences are usually small audiences. Please write it down. Warm or hot audiences are usually small audiences. What does this mean? It means that the people in your list is probably a small audience. The people that have bought stuff from you before, it's probably a small audience. The people that look like the people that bought from you, relative to audiences out there, it's relatively small audience. So what we do here is that we because we put these three ad sets into one campaign, here's what happens, okay? Usually what happens is Facebook will start off with what's familiar and comfortable to them. That's when they will start spending money on the lookalike, like the buyers, because to them it's like, oh, this is a no-brainer, and based on AI, based on the algorithm, we know that this is going to get us good results, okay? But usually what happens when you have a hot or warm audience is that it's a small audience, and it's a matter of time before the same audience starts seeing it again and again and again, and your cost would eventually start rising because it's a small audience. Now you'll notice that this next audience, okay, that's when the next thing will happen. The next thing will happen is, well, Facebook is now going to go to the next audience, which is, super interest. But if you take a look at this campaign over here, which is anybody living in the US, you will see that the cost per result is actually cheaper than lookalike of buyers. Now, why is that the case? It is because this is anybody who lives in the US. So think of it as kind of like, this is like the intern in an organization, whereas this here is the leader, it's the mentor that has experience, okay? So because this is initially leading the campaign, this tells Facebook a specific pattern. Oh, wait a second, these are people that look like buyers. So let's spend money on this campaign over here first. But once this starts to fatigue and saturate out, what Facebook will do is they would start finding out, well, who else is out there? And because you have a very loose targeting in the same campaign, this tells Facebook you have the power to go out there and find anybody that's living in the US. But because it's the same campaign, Facebook and now they have data based on what is proven to convert based on leads and buyers. And therefore they can find me more buyers that fits their algorithm and AI and data that they have, even though the targeting is super broad. Okay, take a look at this. Take a look at my targeting. I am inside my ad set right now, right? Notice it's just called location United States. And I would like you to notice my targeting. It's basically exclude my all-time buyers, okay? And my targeting is literally anybody who lives in the US from 21 years old to 55 years old. All genders. No targeting, right? It's literally, and that is why if I was to go here, take a look at this, potential reach 160 million people. Now this is advanced, and that's why I was a little bit hesitant to share this, but I believe that this is going to benefit some of you, right? So this goes against like every Facebook ad guru will tell you, right? And this is only powerful if this is for scaling, okay? How do you scale? It is when, this will only work if you first must have some sort of data in the past. You must have some sort of buyers or lookalike audiences or leads in order for this to work. You must have a funnel that you're confident with, that you know is proven, okay? And then once you have, and this is why this is like a scaling strategy. If you have a funnel that's proven, if you have a previous list of buyers, that is when you can have a super open, no interest targeting put in the same campaign, and that's how we can scale to millions of dollars. Dana, my team is going to unmute you right now. Just let me know if this answers your question, if you found this helpful.
Yeah, thank you for kind of going down that rabbit hole. It was very helpful and gave me some clarity on some questions that I haven't been able to really get answered from people. So it was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Guys, and you guys hopefully can see why like sometimes I need to keep things specific because I know it's helpful, but
out of Toronto, my question, because I think you'd be the best person to ask about this, is how would you market a service to make custom coding tweaks for funnels where the service like Infusionsoft or ClickFunnels doesn't work the way you want it to, like if the order bump it's like finicky or it's not laid out well or something like that, or it confuses the audience and costs sales? What kind of approach would you think for that kind of custom coding or like API, those sorts of more technical things? Do you have any strategies for that sort of business model?
Sure. So tell us, is it a done for you service? Give us a rough run through to the offer you're thinking about creating together with price point, and I'll show you how to create a quick pitch for that.
Okay, so yeah, so my experience is all through doing like custom integrations, including API. So like sometimes I'll need to do something like Infusionsoft before it didn't have its own SMS text messaging integrations, so I had to custom code one for that. And well, my biggest problem as a business is that I always like to make it where the client and I kind of we share the risk. In the sense that I don't like to say, oh, okay, it'll take like 15 hours to get this done. Instead, I like to say, it's like, okay, well, let's get a credit of a certain number of hours. We'll get a certain amount of progress. When we're at the end of that, then I'll send you another invoice and we can continue. Or you can say, this isn't worth it. Let's just put a pin in it. And because of its complexity, it hasn't been doing so well recently. Whereas when I started, almost 10 years ago, it did do really well. So, like maybe I need to just switch to a subscription service or an Ask Me Anything service. But really that's how I've priced it in the past, is having these, these little nitpicky changes inside ClickFunnels or whatever. And I'll use something like jQuery or, like another programming language to do things that the software itself, it just won't do out of the box.
Okay, great question. Okay, so I love this question, and in many different ways, because I think all of you will be able to tremendously benefit from this. And the first thing, before I answer this question, in terms of how we can market this either done for you service or custom code solution, before I talk about the pitch and the messaging for it, the first thing I would say is I would urge you to think about tweaking the business model so that at the end of the day, you're not trading hours for dollars. That's the first thing. Okay, because when you told me I'm thinking about like a credit service where they bought a certain amount of hours upfront, that to me is still a problem. Why? Because during the good times when you're getting tons of sales coming in, what's going to happen? You're going to realize that you might hate your life because you realize you have no life then, because you're having all these orders coming in, but you're going to feel this feeling of resentment because an order of just a $20,000 order just came in, and you're like, oh man, now I've got to have and you never want to have that kind of incongruence towards the feeling of a sale coming in. So my first suggestion is to tweak that offer so that it's not trading hours for dollars, but rather based on specific result, so that you're eventually going towards a business model where you're helping an audience get a specific result without you necessarily spending more time on this. Okay, so the question is, how do we do that utilizing your skill set, which is custom coding? Okay, so think about this. Okay, so custom coding, I would first begin with being specific with a specific problem that ClickFunnels user or Infusionsoft person is going through. Okay, so let me give you an example. Okay, so an example would be integrating a double order bump. Okay, now I'm utilizing this because this is literally something that I know my team went through that took them, I don't know how many hours they put in, but let's just say it took them a really long time to figure out how to integrate this double order bump into our products. So if there was an offer at that point in time, which is literally a business in a box, where we gave you, this is how you integrated a double order bump, where in one click, this is what you need to do, or it's a tutorial video that literally is 30 minutes long or 15 minutes, here's how you do it, that would have saved them I am guessing, more than 30 hours or 50 hours. I have no idea how long it took them. But that would have been a no-brainer for my team to buy if there was that specific solution to that problem. Okay? So you'll know this market well. So think about the softwares that you worked on to create custom code. I want to be able to reverse engineer and think about that specific problem. Okay? So for example, the double order bump problem, right? You mentioned, SMS texting integrating with, Infusionsoft. Whatever that you might have done in the past, I want to dig it up. I want to think about, can I create rather than trading hours for dollars, can I sell a specific result instead? Okay, so that's number 3. Okay, so how do I sell this result? You see, right now, you are showing people the solution to a specific problem to people who are problem aware, right? A person that says, you know what, I want to be able to integrate SMS marketing to Infusionsoft. You know what, I want to be able to integrate double order bumps to my funnels. Now, the people who's thinking that they're problem aware, but some people don't even know that this is a problem to begin with. Most people don't even know that this step, is something that can help them increase how much a customer is worth, increase their average cart value. That could be the differentiator between an unprofitable Facebook ad campaign to a profitable Facebook ad campaign. Okay? So what I want to be able to do is, once you have established that result you generate, so let's take an example of this, because this is literally a thing that my team went through a couple of months back. Okay? Now imagine if you were to package this solution, this offer, where you did it once. You shot the videos, you are giving them the custom code on a platter so that they can plug and play, fill in the blanks, and do minimal edits on their own. That does not take up any of your time anymore because you've already figured out the solution. So imagine right now you created an offer. Now what is this offer? The offer is now very specific. You run an ad targeting people like, let's say, ClickFunnels or Russell Brunson. Okay? Now what would this ad say? This ad would say, if you are currently selling offers on ClickFunnels, if you are selling a free plus shipping offer, a low ticket item, or anything with upsells for that matter, did you know that you are leaving a ton of money on the table? Hey, this is Dan here today, and I want to be able to walk you through one simple code that you can literally copy and paste into your funnels. And as a direct result of that, it is going to increase your average cart value and how much is a customer worth to you by at least a very conservative 25%. Now, what I'm talking about is this thing called the double order bump. Now, what is the double order bump? So, for example, if you were to go to Russell Brunson's front-end funnels, whether it's his traffic secrets, expert secrets, .com secrets, all of his front-end funnels, do you know what is the one thing that they have all in common? That's right, I'm talking about this thing called the double order bump. Now, what does this double order bump do? You'll notice that this is the one thing that Russell did at the start of this year. Why does he do that? Even because he split tested to know that this is what gives him maximum conversion. However, there is a problem. You know what the problem is? The problem is that this thing here is really hard to execute. I've got many people, clients in the past, that said, you know what, I want to be able to do this, then here's $5,000, go figure it out for me. And I know, even though this is something that is crucial, a lot of people just can't afford investing at $5,000 to have this done. And that's why I created this offer right here, which is basically a custom code that you can literally plug and play, copy and paste into your funnels with the exact tutorials showing you step by step, move by move on how to implement and apply this order bump. If you want to be able to significantly increase your average cart value without any coding, without any programming, that's all done for you. All you gotta do is click on this link below to have and implement this double order bump, right? So notice what I did. Now, yes, initially you traded your time for money. Initially you created this custom code for a client, which is fine starting out, but we need to think, and by the way, this goes for all of you, right? We need to think about how can we go beyond trading time for money. So guys, please write this down. How can we document? How can we put it into a process, into a system, like what I'm telling Dan to do right now, so that it becomes this asset that we can utilize over and over and over again. Okay, so then what you need to be doing, your homework is to think about all of the different custom codes that you might have done for clients in the past. And yes, even though it's customized to them, is there a way to make it generic that solve this specific problem, which also means that there's other people solving the problem, but market it to people that may not even realize that they want this to begin with, right? There's a lot of people out there who's not thinking about how can I implement this double order bump. Sure, there's people out there like me who's already problem and solution aware, but some people could be totally unaware that this thing exists. So that is how you can create offer in order to create desire and demand for this thing by showing them what the result is, what the problem is, and how your custom code that is now in video tutorials, that is now given to them on platter so that they can copy and paste, where now in future you're no longer just trading hours for dollars, but it's now in, you know, packaged in a business in a box. Then does that make sense?
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Oh, hey man, too much with the curse words, Dad.
Okay, cool. I'm not sure if that was anyway. So
Yeah, that was my soundboard.
oh, there's the soundbar. Okay, that makes
Yeah, I
sense.
have a little thing that every time I say or whatever, it just does that.
Oh wow, that is very cool. Is that for you, or is it like for?
Yeah, everybody hears it, and I've got a whole bunch of different.
I have no idea who he is. I'm not even sure how to pronounce his name. It could be Frattenberg. It could be
Oh yeah, I'll set that off for you. But yeah, it's I had some celebrities troll me on purpose, so that way, if anybody did troll me, they'd listen to the celebrity instead of what the troll said.
Right. Okay. So like, you know, even like this thing that you are showing me right now, I want to be able to think about how I can package and position that for people who run Zoom events, right? For people who are on Clubhouse, can I create these different sound bars so that when somebody brings somebody up on the stage on Clubhouse, there are these moderator effects, right? So could it be like at one push of a button, there's like, let's get ready to rumble, right? Something like that, right? So it's just fun. It's not just, so from a marketing perspective, you got all these different things.
to tell you stories.
Right? Yeah, there's a bunch of them. There's like let's see here, 15 different buttons on this thing, and I've got it programmed a bunch of different ones.
Amazing. Okay, so then when you leave this event, your goal here is to really think about packaging offers that does not take up your time, because that will be the end goal.
Thanks, man. You're awesome.
Thank you. Okay, guys. Which, by the way, guys, how many of you here is enjoying these Q&A and hot seat sessions so far?
My question is actually because okay, let me introduce myself. First, I'm actually from the weight management industry. I provide online weight loss management, coaching, and which associate with supplement, okay, meal replacement shakes. So my question is, because I have been running this Facebook page for quite some time already, and I do have ad. It's just a post ad, it's not a video ad, but it's actually generating a lot of leads to me. But somehow I'm actually not able to really convert the leads. So I'm talking about 600 leads over here, and probably my conversion is only like maybe 6 leads or less than 10 leads. So I wonder, I definitely know that there is broken somewhere in my process. And I actually do not know, because when I look at the post that I actually run, the ads that I run on that post, right, is actually the awareness level is somehow between the product and solution. So I do not have a landing page or funnel to to complete my sales, the sales process. So I wonder, how should I actually put a landing page to really help me to increase my closing on those leads that I have?
Okay, so just to kind of summarize, Shireen, so right now you mentioned you have a post, you run it as an ad, you feel that it's getting you different, good, pretty decent visibility. You might be getting the clicks, but they're not necessarily converting. Is that the current scenario? Okay. Do you have this post in front of you? And is this something that I can take a look at right now? If you can easily find it within the next 10 seconds or so, I can ask my team to give you co-host status so that you can show me how that looks like, and I can walk you through what might be broken right now.
Okay, give me just a minute. I should be able to find it real quick.
Okay, we'll give you 20 seconds.
Okay.
Let's keep Shireen, no pressure. I know that, it's only about 100 people waiting for you. It's all good.
Because it's quite actually at the bottom, so I have to scroll down to the bottom.
No worries. And team, if you guys can just give Shireen co-host so that she can share the screen. We'll take a look at it real quick, because I'm sure that this is something everybody will benefit from as well.
Okay, so it goes like this. If you really want to grow, you have to break up with the client avatar. The client avatar is a very popular method of attracting your ideal client in sales and marketing world. But if you really want to grow like crazy, you have to drop this limited method and you have to step into a new space and a new dimension. In yoga, this is known as the chitta, or as it's known in Jungian psychology, the unconscious or universal conscious. The spaces beyond the thinking mind can only be accessed when you drop all limiting beliefs and identities about who you are. To access it literally requires you to go beyond your identity and thoughts, the realm of the thinking mind. And this is why you need to drop the ideal client avatar, because it's created from thought, because it limits our access to our deepest superpower, the universal consciousness. See, the thinking mind is a very useful tool. It helps us remember where we put our keys. It helps us remember what kind of foods we liked and disliked. It helps us to navigate our past experiences and estimate an outcome, but it cannot see beyond our limited identity and memory. It's a camera that can show you pictures of past events, but what you need is a camera that can show you the future. And that is where the superconscious shines. And that is where your next 10 clients live. If you want to learn how to create a conscious, aligned, stress-free coaching creative business, I made a training for you that I spent over 40 hours putting together, and it's some of my best work to date. I'd love for you to benefit from my learnings. And then I go into the CTA. So Peng, I was hoping you could help me clarify my offer and figure out basically the old way is client avatar. What I'm showing them is a new way of tapping into the super conscious to go beyond the ego to create a thriving business. So I want your help on kind of crafting a irresistible offer, if you could help me with that.
Okay, sure. Okay, so while I love the content that you gave out there, here's one thing that we always need to balance out when it comes to making an offer or an ad or a piece of content. And that is basically having a balance between abstract and what is tangible. Okay, now, while abstract is great, usually abstract is very high level, right? Which is what all the stuff that you told me. Here's the problem. On social media, I would say you would probably lose 90% of the audience because they probably didn't understand most of the things that you just said. And the reason for that is not because the stuff that you said isn't good. I thought it was really good. But the problem is it's very abstract, and where everything is just from a macro, abstract, zoomed out, bird's eye perspective, that is when an audience who has a business that just want to get more leads and sales is thinking, I don't know, this consciousness, unconscious thing, it sounds a little bit too woo for me. Okay? And that's how they would feel, even though your methods could genuinely help them get more clients. And the reason for that is because you didn't have that balance between high level and low level. You didn't have that balance between abstract and tangible, right? The intangible and tangible. So what all of you need to do in order to convert better is to have a balance between these two things. Okay. Now, what does it mean by have a balance between these two things? Whether it's an ad, whether it's a headline, whether it's a messaging, the thing to polish this thing up that you have is to incorporate messaging so that they can link the stuff that is high level to the daily practical stuff that happens each day as well. Okay, because if all we did, what does it mean by high level? Now, I want to try to make this applicable to each and every one of you. Okay, and it basically means this. It means that if you have a training on consciousness and being in a moment and being present and to be more productive, high level would be everything that was just mentioned earlier, right? Tangible would be, and when you're able to do that, what's going to happen is you're going to realize you're in the moment, you're more present, you'll be able to make the most out of your day, and ultimately create more sales as a direct result of applying and implementing this method, right? So now it's like, I get it now, I get what is the link to the macro with the micro, right? Some of you could be saying macro, right? High level could be, for example, here's how you can utilize your voice, your message, and change the world. However, somebody that's just thinking about being a speaker is not thinking about changing the world. They're thinking, why would I want to change the world if I can't even pay the bills at the end of each month? I can't even change my own world, right? And that's going to happen when you are just focusing on high level, macro, intangible stuff. Okay, so what you need to work on is to bring in that link to everything that you just said. So whether it is the invisible, whether it is the intangible, whether it's higher consciousness, purpose, all these things, we got to be able to link that to, just think about that business owner who just want to be able to get more sales, right? You got to be able to speak that person's language as well and meet them based on where they're at. And that is when you can introduce your concepts to this person. Okay, so for example, let's just imagine right now, okay, I am somebody who have never been exposed to, law of attraction or manifestation or any of these type of things, right? A personal about, I'm just the business owner who's working my ass off each day, and I want to be able to make more money to get more clients, get more sales. Okay. Now, if this thing appears on my feed, even though you could be helping me, you would have lost me at hello because I would not understand 90% of the things that you say. Okay. So what you need to do is you gotta meet me based on my level of thinking. What is my level of thinking? It will be, man, just tell me how to make more money. Okay. So it could be utilizing your process and techniques, but speak my language. So what will my language be? You need to inject and add in elements like, so right now, and acknowledge how they feel. It could be, so right now you're probably thinking, what does this have to do with business owners, entrepreneurs? You could be somebody that's just looking to make an additional sale each day to be able to get more clients. Here's how you do it, utilizing this technique. So when you do that, you're acknowledging based on where I'm at. Now I feel that, oh, wait a second, you do understand my struggles, my thoughts. I'm just somebody who want to make more sales. But now you're introducing your techniques based on where I'm at, and you're elevating my thought process. So now I'm able to get insight, but you have to meet me based on the level of thinking. Okay? So that is how, this would be like, the short summarized version. Of course, we could be spending an entire hour on an entire hot seat, drilling deep. But the summary of it all is to be able to have that balance between tangible and intangible, and that's how you would improve on this messaging. Okay, Alok, does that help? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's really helpful. That's actually what I was kind of struggling with, is how do I ground some of these concepts into, like, what would I say? Would I say, like, you know,
Okay,
use
so here's one technique, okay? Here's one technique that all of you can utilize. Please write down these words. Please write down the words so that you can. So for example, it would be, I want to be able to help you untap into that unconscious mind. So rather than full stop, because it would be like, what does that even mean? It would be so that you can fill in the blanks. Okay, so every time you have that high level thing, you gotta think about, well, what is the result or outcome so that they can what? So they be more present, so that they can see, well, what's possible, so that they will be able to, get that outcome or result that is tangible.
That's really helpful. Thank you, Peng. Appreciate
All right.
it.
You're welcome. Glad to have you here. Okay, so guys, real quick before we keep going, okay, I don't want you guys to constantly just skim over, right? We have been here, nearly 2 hours? Yeah, 2 hours. So real quick, let me take, 15 seconds, guys. But by the way, I am serious in getting your answer.